Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Marlise and this is BitKnits. In today's video, this is the start of a brand new series here on the channel called Mystery Mondays. What this series is going to entail is me picking one pattern per week for 14 weeks, working that pattern up, and then showing you the finished project. So right now we're standing in front of my yarn shelf, and ignore the mess. We'll put you up there a little bit. I need to pick some yarn, but first we need to go pick our first mystery pattern. These are all free patterns that I've curated from the internet. I will link the pattern that I am using each week down below. If you're ever interested in making whatever project we're making along with me, or even sometime into the future, all that information will be down below. I'm going to just use a computer spinner so I get a real random choice, and it's going to be a true mystery every week what pattern we're making. I've picked everything from wearables to amigurumi and keychains. I think there's a plant hanger pattern in there, some shawls, so just kind of a widespread assortment of patterns. I've tried to limit it to smaller or maybe quick makes because I only have a week. Every week we're going to be doing a new pattern. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to go head over to the computer. I'm going to spin the wheel and we'll get to see what our first pattern is going to be. Let's spin the wheel and see what our first project will be. Number 5, the floral cami. So now we know we are making a floral cami. It's a wearable. I definitely don't want any of the posh yarn. I kind of want a cotton yarn, although the pattern does seem to indicate that acrylic is fine. But I'm going to go with my cotton yarn, which is on this shelf right here. And I'm leaning towards some of this thinner weight yarn. I have a whole bunch of this Oh Baby Organic 2-weight cotton yarn, and I think that's what I'm going to use for this project. I really like this color, but actually I know I've got at least 3 of these color, and I think this color is called Rose, although it's kind of hard to see. I think I'm going to go with this rose color. It's more of a dusty sort of pale rose. So I'm going to grab this yarn and we are going to start working on this cami. Here's what I have accomplished so far. This has been maybe like an hour and a half of work, on and off here and there. You can see it's just kind of a mesh stitch. We chain 4, skip 3, double crochet in the chain 4 spaces, and you get a really nice mesh type stitch. I've worked the pattern until the length that it has instructed, and now I need to work on, I think, the edging for the top and then the bottom. So that's where I'm at right now. So far, super easy project, super easy pattern. The yarn, I'm still on my first little ball here, have a good amount left. I like working with this yarn. It's not too difficult. I did have to redo the foundation chain a few times just to get the gauge right. I wasn't coming up with quite the right gauge, and I'm still not 100% sure that I am on track, but this is what I went with, and so far I think it is pretty accurate to the gauge that is in the pattern, but we'll see. So here we go. We're going to work the rest of this front panel. I need to make one more for the back, and then we seam up right under the arms and then leave the sides open. And I think we're going to use, it says to use ribbon to seam up the sides, but I might crochet a chain and do that. We'll see. I might change the pattern just a little bit, but I wanted to hop on really quickly, show you the progress that I've got so far on this, and we'll keep right on crocheting. as you can see, I have finished both panels. Super pretty, sort of scallop and picot edging on the bottom, and both front and back panels are exactly the same. I went ahead and made the straps, and I seamed up each side. The pattern seems to say to seam it up on the two sides first. So you seam up about 2 inches and then leave the rest of the seam open. But I opted to do the 2 straps first before seaming the sides, just so I could kind of see how it was going to lay out, see how it was fitting, see maybe where I wanted to seam it up to. So for me, that worked out really well. And like I said, both panels are exactly the same. Because it's mostly a mesh stitch, works up really quickly. And then here is a little bit of a close-up of that scallop edging. And you work sort of 3 sets of the pattern repeat to get that nice length on your cami. I'm just going to crochet a long chain and then work probably slip stitches or single crochets back along that chain. I'm going to create 2 chains. I'm not sure how long, but just something to kind of weave in and out on the front and the back sides to kind of close up these seams on the ends. So that's the next step. And of course I have to weave in all of my ends, but otherwise it is almost complete. Are you guys ready for the final reveal? I'm so excited to show you. Let's bring it in. There she is. It's a really nice mesh open work type stitch. I made a medium, and we'll go through and talk about the entire pattern process in just a minute, but I wanted to show you the actual finished project first. So it's a very open mesh stitch. You seam up just a few inches on the sides right under the arm. You leave the rest of the seam open, and the pattern calls for a ribbon to lace up the rest of the sides. I opted to just do a crochet chain and then weave that in. I made 2, 1 for each side. The bottom of this little cami is what makes the entire project, in my opinion. It is such a nice floral look at the bottom because the top is so simple. You have a really nice bottom that really kind of showcases the piece. For the top, we worked a strap starting in the back, chained, I think it was 35-ish, and then you join it to the front, and then you work back along that chain just to give it a little bit of strength. You do that on both sides, and you've got your little straps at the top. For me, the hardest part about this project was the pattern. Reading some of the pattern instructions, it wasn't 100% clear, and I think that that is common with a lot of just free patterns. And this one in particular, I believe it looks like it was written ages ago, so I'm not sure if it just hasn't been revisited, if it's just an old pattern. There were some parts of it that just were not as clear as I would have liked. So it does say that it is an intermediate crochet pattern, and I 100% agree with that. If you're very new to crochet, if you haven't crocheted very long, you might struggle reading this pattern a little bit, and in some spots I just kind of went with my gut. For example, as you work off of your initial chain, which is at the bottom, so you chain whatever number of chains that it suggests for the sizes, and for me that was a medium, and then you work back along going up with that mesh. At some point you're supposed to have X number of open mesh spaces, and I think I had 1 less than what I was supposed to have. I did not realize that until I was working the second panel, because you work the front panel and then you'll work the back panel. And when I was doing the back panel, for some reason I decided, oh, maybe I should count my spaces, and I had 1 less. So I went to my front panel, which I'd already completed, and I counted my spaces, and it was the same number that I was getting for the second one, which was one less than what the pattern said I was supposed to have. So I don't know if that is mistype in the pattern, because as you can see, the work down here, these sort of shell with picots, you have 3 kind of sets of pattern repeats to get the 3 sets, and they turned out fine. They're all laying as they should on top of each other. I do only have 7 going across, and I'm supposed to have 8. So I don't know if, again, that's like a pattern issue or if that's something that I did. But regardless, here it is, made in just a few days. So this one did not take me an entire week. I was able to get this done in probably 3 to 4 days, and that was not working on it all the time. So I worked one panel one day, I did the next panel the next day. I think I even got the straps and the sides done really quickly. So this is a fast make, and it is actually a perfect summer garment. It would make a lovely beach swimsuit cover up, but because it is kind of elevated with this fancy work at the bottom, you could get away with wearing it out to more formal things than just the beach. For this pattern, I did not use the recommended yarn weight. I think it says to do a 4-weight acrylic yarn. I went with this Oh Baby organic cotton yarn. This is the color Rose, and this is a 2-weight yarn. It has 180 yards. The pattern recommends, I think, just under 400 yards, 375 or something. So I had 3 of these. 1 entire ball was used for each of the panels, and then I pulled from this 3rd one to do the straps and the side chains instead of using that ribbon that the pattern recommended. And I'm really happy. I didn't want to use ribbon. I really wanted to keep all of this handmade, crocheted. So using those chains or chaining and creating straps really worked for me for this pattern. I did wind up using a 5mm crochet hook with this yarn for this project. I worked the medium, and this is really loose and flowy. If I were to make this again, I would either size down my hook or make the small version. I would say, for me personally, this worked up more like a large. Would I make this again? Absolutely. It was relatively easy. It was very quick. The open mesh stitches was something that I could work on and not really pay attention. The only part that I had to kind of zone out from everything and pay attention was down at the bottom with this shell picot pattern, because it's like a 3 or 4 row repeat for each motif down there, and you really have to kind of focus in and make sure you're on the right row, counting stitches, making sure you're not missing anything. But otherwise, super fast, super easy. Definitely, as far as the pattern goes, I think it could have been written a little bit more clearly, and maybe that's why they say it's more of an intermediate, because it is written in very brief words. So it's not everything is spelled out. You kind of have to know a little bit about crochet and how pieces are worked. But with all that being said, I would definitely recommend this pattern. Just know that you might have to tweak it a little bit. Don't get hung up if your spaces are not matching up with what the pattern says they should, because I'm not sure that the pattern is correct. But even so, if I was wrong and I was supposed to have 1 more chain space, it still worked out fine for me. So sometimes you just have to jump in and go for it. So take all of that into consideration if you decide to make this pattern. I will have the link to this pattern down below. It is I think I found it off Mary Maxim, but it is a Karen pattern, and it is called the Floral Cami. All right, so since it's Monday, that means we have to spin the wheel to pick our next pattern. 3, 2, 1. I hope you guys enjoy this new series that I'm doing. Stick around, because next week we have a brand new pattern. Have a great week, everyone, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.